everyone, it's Elena and I'm back with another video, and today we're gonna do an updated review of the Microsoft Surface Book 3. Now, I was gifted this by Microsoft, so full disclosure, I did not pay for that, but I was not paid to say anything nice about it. I can give my entirely honest opinion and that's what I'm gonna do. Now, I've had this for 2 months, so I'm gonna share with you guys my experience and whether I'm gonna ditch my MacBook for it. So yeah, let's do it. Now you may have noticed, aside from my hopefully cool stickers, because yes, I like stickers on laptops, that the Surface Book 3 has a little gap here, which is kind of weird. Now the reason for this gap is that the Surface Book 3 isn't just a laptop, but you can actually detach the screen and then you can use it as a tablet. So the way you detach the screen is you just click this one button, and normally when you have your Surface Book standing it's a lot easier to do, but you can also just wobble it off here and there you go. Now you have this keyboard thing here and then you have your tablet. The great thing about the tablet is it is quite big for a tablet, so when you watch a movie on here, that's really, really nice. But you can also easily take notes, it's super lightweight and it's great for class. But you can also put it back on here and use it as a laptop, and actually this keyboard has some extra power. So when you attach it to the keyboard, you have something that's more like a laptop, because tablets usually have a little bit less power. And the other thing is, this also charges your tablet. So you actually have some extra battery life with this. Now if you're in a lecture and you need the extra battery life that this element can give you, but you actually don't want to use the device as a laptop right now because you're taking notes with the pen, then you can actually do this. Now the way you can do this is you just put the screen on the other way around. Sounds a little bit weird, but just let me show you guys. Basically you just put it on the other way around. There you go. So now normally what should be the back of the device is now facing the keyboard, and then you just close it up. And then you can still use it as a tablet, and you actually have a bit of an angle here which makes it nicer for writing, because that's a little bit nicer for your hand when you're writing on it like this. And yeah, that's it for, lectures and stuff. It's super, super useful. And as I said, you get some extra power, which is nice, especially if you're editing videos. And yeah, that's how you can use it in lectures. I think it's a very convenient device simply because it gives you so many options for how you want to use it, and because you can so quickly change from laptop to tablet and back. And of course, you can always use the pen on the laptop. So you still have a touch screen, that's not going to go away when you use it as a laptop, which honestly is really nice. Like when you can just scroll down on the website. It's a little thing, but it's convenient. Now let's talk about the stylus for just a second. Now it's pretty much like an Apple Pencil. I mean, it does the job, so that's what matters. The only little thing that I have to say about this is that you can see sort of, signs of usage on it, which with the Apple Pencil you really don't. Like I've had this Apple Pencil for like over 2 years at this point, and it still looks pretty good for, something that's been used for so long. But on this one you can actually see signs of usage simply because I put it on the side of the Surface all the time and then I just throw it into a bag. And over time I have realized that you can see a little bit. So as you can maybe see here, I hope you can, there are some signs of usage. It's not a bad thing, but if that's something that bothers you, that's just something to keep in mind. But I can say this is a great place to keep your pen, and it won't just fall off when you throw it into your bag like this. Now when I was watching this footage back, I realized I need to clarify something, because yes, these both do the job, but they're definitely not the same, and I feel like it sounds like I wanted to say they are. No, they're not. The size is very different, but the main difference for me is the tip. So the tip of the Apple Pencil is very sturdy, and there's pretty much no change to it when you press onto the glass of the iPad. Whereas with this stylus pen from Microsoft, the tip is not as sturdy. So what I mean by that is when you press onto the surface, the tip will go a little bit inside of the pen. I'm hoping this makes somehow sense. I don't think you guys can really see this. When I try to show it to you, you'll see. I don't think you can see much of a difference because my skin pretty much hides it. But there's a bit like a mini click, I guess you could say. So you'll realize when you're writing on it that you are now hitting the surface because of this little, click thing. It's a mini click. I don't really know how else to describe it. So basically whenever you hit the screen, you will just realize that the pen becomes minimally smaller, and that's when you know you're writing on it. That way you also know whether you're applying pressure to the screen, which here is a bit harder to know, and some apps detect pressure for example, painting and stuff. But I still personally prefer this more sturdy tip rather than this one, but that's honestly just a personal preference. What I would recommend you to do is go into a store and try out both, just to see whether you're fine with either one. I don't think it's a big deal for me personally, like I would be happy to change to this. I just think the Apple Pencil is a bit nicer. But that's, as I said, just a personal opinion. So yeah, let's get back to the video. Now, would I recommend this device to students? Yes and no. Now, the reason I'm saying yes is because this device is amazing. Like, you can take your notes with the stylus, but you can easily switch back to a laptop. You pretty much have everything that you need on here as a student. But I don't think every student needs this much power. The Surface Book 3 is created for people who do need quite a bit of power. So for example, if you want to edit videos, then this is a great device. But if you're really just wanting to take lecture notes, maybe every once in a while watch a movie, but you're not editing any videos or photos or something like that, then this one is probably just great for you, but you would be overpaying because you don't need all this power. Microsoft actually also has some cheaper products in their Surface lineup, which I think are better suited for students who are just looking for taking notes in a lecture, writing emails, stuff like that you would normally use a laptop for in university or a tablet. And if that's all you're looking for, I'm going to link one in the info box below that I think is a great option for students. You pretty much still get all the benefits that you would get out of this one as a university student, but you're paying less because you don't need that extra power for editing videos and photos and stuff like that. Now, how about students who are also content creators, so people like me? Would I recommend this device to you? Again, yes and no. Now, actually, it's a very big yes. The reason for the yes is that it just has everything you need for university, but it also has enough power for editing videos. Now, as you guys may know, I currently don't have a device that can do everything, so I actually have 3 devices, which I'm not proud of. I have a Apple MacBook. It's just called a MacBook. They no longer make these, but I believe the MacBook Air is pretty similar to this. This is not very powerful. You can't edit your videos with this. It will just low-key die on you. But it's great for university because it's very portable. But it doesn't have a touchscreen, so for lecture notes, I have an iPad Pro. Also for editing a little bit when I want to draw something on it, but that's rare. And then I also have a MacBook Pro for editing videos. The reason I don't use this MacBook Pro just as, a replacement for this one, because I could take lecture notes with this as well, is that this MacBook Pro is from 2013 and it's not very reliable. There are times where it just freezes and stops working. It's not great. So I just use it for video editing, and I hope that by me not using it too much, it will live for longer because I need it. But that's why I have 3 devices, but I could probably live with 2. But that's still 1 more. And you spend a lot more money on these Apple devices because you don't have a device that's 1-in-1, and they're just more expensive. So the price point is quite convincing. Now, I actually looked up how much I would have to pay for a comparable MacBook Pro and how much you'd have to pay for one Surface Book 3 that I would recommend for content creation, so that you guys get an idea of why I'm saying the price point is a big point here. So the Surface Book 3 starts at $1,600, but I think if you're a content creator and you're making longer videos, then you probably need at least 32 gigabytes of RAM and probably at least 512 gigabyte of total storage, or maybe even a terabyte. Whatever is more useful for you. Now, if you want these 32 gigabytes of RAM, and we're talking about a 13.5-inch screen, which is what I have here, then we are talking $2,500 US, or if you want 1 terabyte of total storage, everything else stays the same, then we're talking about $2,700. That's not a bad deal, in my opinion, for a device that can do that much. And that is a tablet and a laptop in one. Now, if you want pretty much the same thing from an Apple device, it's not just one device, you actually have to buy 2, because Apple's MacBook Pros do not have a screen that you can take off and use as a tablet. So you're looking at buying a MacBook Pro for editing, and then also an iPad. Probably an iPad Pro, though the new iPad Air is pretty comparable as well. So, how much money are we talking? Now, if you want a MacBook Pro with 32 gigabytes of RAM like this one, then you actually have to buy the 16-inch model because the other one doesn't come with 32 gigabytes of RAM. So just changing nothing else from the base model of the MacBook Pro, just adding those 32 gigabytes of RAM to the 16-inch MacBook Pro, you are already looking at $2,800. Yeah. Now, if you don't want 512 gigabytes of storage, but instead you want a terabyte, then you are looking at $3,000. That's just one device. Keep that in mind. So now you also need an iPad, so you'll probably end up somewhere around at least $4,000, which is a lot more than what we have with the Surface. So the price point is just convincing. The other thing is, and that's kind of like a minor thing I guess, but like, it makes a big difference for a content creator, is this little thing here, which is an SD card slot, which Apple has denied us. All Apple devices now only have this, let me take off this hair, it's disgusting. There we go, now I can show you this. So, all Apple devices have this weird USB-C thing, and that's all they give you. And I'm sorry, but using adapters like all the time is annoying because when you forget your adapter, you're screwed. There's no way you're gonna get your files onto your laptop. And I'm not a big fan of these dongles, not gonna lie. So this is just, you know, made for people who want to create stuff. And you can tell. And they thought about these things. And so I would recommend this to content creators simply because it has everything you need and it's a lot cheaper. But, and this is a big but, I also have to admit, I'm probably not gonna end up using it like that. And why is that? Well, the reason for that is that I have all these devices. And no, I don't have to give this one back. And I am definitely considering to maybe switch in the future, but for now, I probably won't. And the reason for that is that I'm in this Apple ecosystem, or whatever you want to call it, which means that everything that I have stored digitally is kind of connected with services from Apple. So, you know, the softwares that I use for editing, many of these are only available for Apple devices. Some of these I paid for once, others I pay for on a monthly basis. Then other things like my iCloud storage. Yes, you can access the iCloud from Microsoft devices, but it's significantly less convenient. Whenever I use the iCloud on any of these devices, any document that I write is automatically stored in the iCloud. Super easy. All of my devices are syncing with each other all the time. When someone sends me something onto my phone for a group project, I just airdrop it to my MacBook. Takes like 2 seconds. I can't use AirDrop with this. My entire family uses Apple, so when we call each other, it's FaceTime. We message each other on iMessage, and I can respond to all these things on all of my Apple devices, but not on this device. The other thing is, I use Pages a lot, which is sort of like the Apple equivalent of Word, but I don't think it's as powerful as Word necessarily. But for me, it does the job for taking notes on lectures. I even wrote like a part of a journal paper in Pages and then just exported it as a Word document because I love Pages and I'm not a big fan of Word. So every file that I have is in a file format for Apple devices, which would make switching very inconvenient. So really the reason why I'm not going to switch for now is convenience, because everything I have now is set up in this Apple world, and I definitely could switch, but it would be a massive effort. Like, I have terabytes of data in the iCloud, and I would have to get that out of there, put it into a Microsoft Cloud service, and then I would also have to make sure that all these file formats are still working. So I would probably have to export a lot of files into a different format just to be able to still access them, which would be a lot of work with terabytes of data. And I would have to get used to new software. Those are all things that you can do, but my main priority is I'm a law student. I'm not mainly a content creator. So for now, it's easier for me to stick with this because there I know what I'm doing, and so I have to spend less time, you know, getting used to a software or something. Instead, I can just get started with editing. And that's good because my main time chunk goes to law school and not content creation, so I honestly just don't have the time to switch. But if you're not in this, you know, Apple ecosystem in this way, then you can buy this, and I would highly recommend you to buy this because it's better value for money, and it's just It has an SD card slot, okay? It's just something that's made for content creators, and I feel like they thought a lot more about what you need, and I think you just get more. So I would recommend this. I would highly recommend this, but I also wanted to be honest about the fact why I'm probably not going to switch. And yeah, that is my final review of the Microsoft Surface Book 3 after 2 months. I hope you guys found this video helpful. If you guys want to know about the devices that I mentioned from Microsoft, I'm going to link them in the info box below. And of course, a massive thank you to Microsoft for this gift. And I'll see if I will switch to this at a later point in time. Should I do that, I will definitely update you guys on that. But for now, thank you so much for watching. Have a nice day. Bye!